Hello and welcome to the Leicester Speedway track, where we're here to cover the British League meeting between the Leicester Lions, that's the home side, and the team from just a few miles away down the motorway, that's the Coventry Bees. Really, for Leicester, it hasn't been their season. They've had trouble all the way along the line, and they're currently third bottom. But for Coventry, things couldn't be better. They're top of the table at the moment and very much planning to take back the title that Cradley snatched from them just a year ago. Well, to see how they get on in this meeting and to see who the riders will be, let's join your match commentator, Dave Lanning.
And so, a crucially important British League fixture in prospect. Coventry have a pretty good record against their old East Midland rivals. In the past 8 meetings, they've only lost once. That was in 1980. Although it's well to reflect that they went under here in a League Cup match earlier this year. Leicester beat them 40-38, which effectively dented their chances. And as usual, Coventry will be looking to the experience and the guile and the magnificent teamwork of their skipper, Ole Olsen there. He'll be in the white helmet colour, only now 35, in the twilight of what really has been a fabulous career and still a world-class performer. And with him here, he's going to be on the outside in Heat 1. His new young partner, a recent discovery of his, just coming into our picture there, you can see Sam Nicolaisen, 18 years old, only a little lad, Tom Thumb, 4'11". And the Leicester pairing on the inside will be Les Collins in red and Steve Regeling. Steve Regeling in blue there in grid 3. So Collins on the inside. Nicolaisen will look for him in grid 2. Steve Regeling in blue, grid 3. And on the outside, Olsen. Here we go for Heat 1. And it looks like Olsen from the outside and Collins from the inside. And Collins it is who shows. Collins is in front. Second place it's Olsen under some pressure from Regeling, and that was a pretty close first 2 corners, but it is Les Collins in front. Olsen is in second place, Regeling is third. 4 laps, remember, of this 380-yard Leicester circuit in each of the 13 races in this British League match. They're averaging about 50 mile an hour. The machine's 500cc, and this is a promising start for Leicester. Collins looks back, he's built up a lead, involved 30 lengths or more over Ole Olsen. Both, of course, will be intercontinental finalists in Sweden in the World Championship. They're into the last lap. And it looks as though Les Collins, the number 1 of the Lions, is going to give them a rising start. The crowd will rise to that. He goes over the line, he wins it. Second Olsen, third was Regeling. So that's a 4-2 heat advantage for the Lions, and Les Collins really has given them the start they have been looking for and maybe even praying for against their old rivals. Well, we watch for Olsen from the outside. He just about gets the start, but Collins it is as they all bunch up into the turn. Collins, who really ran up to the corner quickly, got into the pole position, held onto the line, ran Olsen out, and Regeling we see comes sniffing into the action on the inside and almost catches the Great Dane. We'll look at the lineup for Heat 2, the reserves race on the inside. It looks like being Hawkins. Next to him we have Finn Jensen, this unpredictable and inconsistent Dane who might well be Leicester's match winner if he clicks this evening. Grid 3 will have McKenna, and on the outside Mark Courtney. Now here's another potential match winner for the Lions, because Courtney in his first season, former British junior champion back in 1980, and he was second in the European Junior Championship just last weekend. He really has been in the most enterprising form for the Lions. The lineup then for Heat 2: on the inside, Hawkins in yellow and black. Grid 2 has Finn Jensen. Grid 3, Charlie McKenna. And on the outside, Mark Courtney for Leicester. Remember, the Lions are 4-2 up after 1 race. This is Heat number 2. But it looks like Hawkins from the inside. Hawkins moves into the lead. Second place coming hard around the outside. It is Courtney. Courtney in second place. And in third place there it is Jensen. So the Leicester pair tucking in hard behind the Coventry rider. And Hawkins has 2 lines right on his tail. And there is a battle developing for third place as McKenna comes into the action right on the back wheel of Mark Courtney. And there isn't a lot to choose between all 4 here. Tremendous battle up front as Hawkins tries to hold back Finn Jensen. Jensen trying inside and out. It's a really fine racing track here at Leicester, beautifully prepared, which gives all the riders a fair opportunity to pass inside or out. Hawkins just has room to breathe out a bit now. He's opened a little bit of a lead. Second place Jensen, still in third place it's Courtney. So Hawkins will win it, 3 points to him in Coventry. Second place Jensen, third was Courtney. Points divided, 3 to each team, which means that the Lions still those 2 points up. We're moving on into Heat 3, and already it looks like developing into a really tight battle. And this time Coventry produced potentially their best balanced pairing. We've got Tommy Knudsen there, he'll be in yellow. World number 3, of course, third place rider in last year's Wembley World Championship final. Only 20 years old, averaging this year over 9 points, 9.17. The 1981 European Under-21 champion, a rider of rare promise and style. And in with him, Gary Guglielmi. Here's Guglielmi, this Australian of Maltese extraction. And he's a rough, tough character who puts himself about a bit. He's 24 years old, an average of over 6 points, so a key middleman in the Coventry lineup. Leicester produced the second of their Collins brothers, the fourth in that line. Neil Collins, in his first season, doing awfully well, 20-year-old. And his partner will be Phil Hearn at 27, the eldest rider in the Leicester side on parade. There's Phil Hearn from Sydney, Australia. Rather, that's Collins in the red helmet colour. Hearn will be in blue. There is the lineup you can see on the inside. Hearn. Next to him, Guglielmi. Grid 3 has Collins. And on the outside, Knudsen. It's 7-5 after 2 races in Leicester's favour as they settle down here for the start of Heat 3. And we're right in there, in among them. Awfully impatient to go, and that's a really super picture, and my word, Knudsen got an absolute flyer, and really the referee Mel Price is having none of that. Well, there is a regulation which says the riders must stay still, and that was clearly broken there, and we can see quite graphically how the tension is beginning to build. Just look at this, and well, Tommy Knudsen will be proud of that one. He was doing about 5 miles an hour when the tapes went. And a little drama down by the pit entrance. It looks as though Phil Hearn is the man with some kind of mechanical hiccup. Maybe just a plug oil. It looks like they are changing the plug. These machines, of course, are 500cc, basically Westlake's or Czechoslovakian Yawas. The Coventry pairing, sensing that the Leicester rider may be in a little bit of trouble, get moving to get the race into action and add extra cause for concern in the Leicester camp. There's Les Collins, the Leicester young skipper, coming out to assist his teammate. Perfectly fair tactics from the Bees. It's a professional old game speedway. So Knudsen there, and we did see how clearly he was moving when the tapes went. So vitally important to get a flying start in speedway. It does help a bit when you're in front. Although we've seen time and again how speedway is a game of passing and repassing and track tactics. So many critics say it's the first out of the gate who wins, but we on television have evidence to prove the contrary. There is Knudsen. Just trying to dig out a little extra grip on the outside starting grid. They really do remind you of knights of old in their colourful leathers and all the various endorsements and sponsorships. A far cry from the early days of Leicester Speedway, of course, which dates way back to 1929 Leicester Super. These two sides have been meeting in contest since way back in the late 40s. Always a keen rivalry In past seasons, it must be said, Coventry have gained a ascendancy, but Leicester under Martin Rogers reviving in the most heartening fashion. So here we go again, inside Hearn. Next to him, Guglielmi. Grid 3 has Neil Collins. On the outside, Tommy Knudsen. Heat 3, Leicester 2 in front. And again, Knudsen seems to get a bit of a flyer there, and into the corner is a bit hectic, and Guglielmi is the man who emerges from the scrummage. And that was a resourceful piece of aggression from Guglielmi, and a fine start from Knudsen. And now it is Neil Collins who's moving up to try and challenge Guglielmi. At the back, Hearn has lost his helmet colour. And here comes Neil Collins, and really Leicester's hopes are pinned on him now, because Knudsen is disappearing over the horizon in front, and Collins has squeezed past Guglielmi. Fine piece of cornering. Is fighting back. There is the battle for second place. You can see Hearn isn't entirely out of it either. Into the last lap, 380 yards to go. And Coventry fighting back. In front, Knudsen. Second place, Neil Collins. What a battling second place it's been too. Third place hanging in there, Gary Guglielmi, and over the line on his back wheel, master showman Knudsen goes over to win it. Second place was Collins. That was a 4-2 heat win to the Bees, and that means they've levelled it all up after 3 heats. And so with 3 races completed, it could hardly be better balanced. 9 apiece. Kevin Hawkins re-entering the action for heat number 4. He has been dropped down to the reserve berth in the Coventry lineup tonight to make way for this new Danish lad, Nicolaisen, and he might well prove to be more than a menace down there. Won his first race. We're going to the inside grid here in heat 4, and Hawkins, well known in the Midlands for his match-winning propensity. When Coventry won at Cradley, that's a rare enough occurrence. He really was the boy who produced the goods that night. Might well just do it here in the East Midlands as well. Mitch Shearer, good to see Mitch back in Coventry colours. He did have a very lengthy dispute with the management early in the season. Now back and has shaken off the race rustiness. In fact, he won the recent Midland Riders' Championship semi-final here at Leicester with 15 points. That was 3 weeks ago. Mark Courtney coming into the red helmet colour. He's a rider replacement covering for the absence of Colin Cook in the Leicester lineup. And his partner there, Finn Jensen. Courtney had a race third place in his first outing. Let's have a look at the lineup. On the inside, Hawkins, a winner first time out. Next to him, Courtney. In red, grid 3 has Shearer on his first ride of the evening. And on the outside, Finn Jensen, who indeed was a second in heat number 2. 9 apiece to scores. Leicester might just be a mite vulnerable here, particularly if Shearer clicks. Let's watch heat 4. Taking their time to settle down. Oh, it's a flying start from the outside from Jensen. Jensen really had a flyer. He leads it. In second place, coming around the outside, it is Shearer. And Courtney's been dropped. So that was some start from Jensen. And now Courtney at the back is moving up around the outside of Kevin Hawkins as Shearer moves in to challenge Jensen up front. Well, we did say that this Danish lad, Finn Jensen, is an enigma in the Leicester lineup. He can look a world beater or he can look a novice. And it's the former he's looking at this moment, holding out Mitch Shearer, although Shearer is beginning to look terribly menacing. There is the battle. Shearer will attack around the outside, or he may just lock back, picking his moment to pounce. They're into the last lap now. There's the battle up front. Important victory for Leicester if Jensen can hold on. And it's going to be Finn Jensen over the line. He wins it. Second place Shearer. Third was Hawkins. Points divided again. And still they're locked together. 12 points apiece. But at the moment, it is Finn Jensen, the Dane, who is keeping Leicester on terms here at Blackbird Road. Well, let's just watch that start from Finn Jensen. We're right on his shoulder here. As you can see, as the tapes go, well, it was a brilliant piece of anticipation. He was stood still, he anticipated the start, he's across the field into the first corner from the outside grid. Ruthless piece of aggression around the outside. Jensen, look, what, oh, he's 2-3 lengths clear already as the field sort themselves out behind him. It was that start that brought 3 points, and 3 very important points for Jensen and for Leicester. 4 heats completed, couldn't be closer, 12 points apiece. And there is a young man who is having his first taste of British League action. Hasn't been overawed, Sam Nicolaisen, with another of a long line of track products from Denmark. And there is perhaps the first of the post-war era of Great Danes, Ole Olsen, partnering him. Ole now coming towards the end of his career. He has in fact said he isn't going to ride internationally after this year, although he has promised to complete yet another season next year with Coventry. That's good news for the Bees. Olsen, of course, a businessman of subsistence back in Denmark, where he has an interest in the Voyens track and several other concerns. A very, very good rider, one of the greats of all time. He'll be on the outside here. Let's just have a look at the way they will line up. On the inside, it will be Neil Collins for Leicester. Next to him, Sam Nicolaisen. Grid 3, Phil Hearn. On the outside, Olsen. Collins had a fighting second place in his first outing. Olsen the second first time out as well. It's 12-12. It's heat 5. And every race now is getting to be important. And Olsen's got a flyer from the outside, and Nicolaisen almost overcooked it up to the first corner. And Collins came from nowhere. And Olsen, I think, may well have just been looking for his partner and allowed Neil Collins to get up inside him, and quickly rectified that. He's back in front. Collins is second. Hearn is third. Still Olsen looking back over his inside shoulder for Nicolaisen, who is out of that picture. In fact, his machine has stopped, so we've only got 3 runners now. And Ole Olsen must simply get his head down and go to keep the scores level. And he has got Neil Collins right on his back wheel, and this young man is making him go. Well, Olsen's a wily old campaigner, and Collins is a bold young optimist trying the outside run. And has he got the legs? It's absolutely locked together. And Neil Collins has produced his party piece at a marvellous moment. He wins it on the back wheel. Olsen is second. Third there was Phil Hearn, and the Blackbird Road crowd are in raptures. Well, what a win that was for Collins. And let's just see that fabulous last lap again. Well, there it is. Olsen using all his track craft and guile, running out middle of the track, but there was no stopping Neil Collins. He's out with some extra drive. You can see that quite clearly as Olsen moves across to block him. Neil Collins is out where all the dirt and drive is, and as they raced down the back straight, it was just really a question of who had the better line, who had the stronger motor. We can see it's a young man from Leicester who emerges. Really superb piece of cornering. Olsen tried to rush him into the corner, but he wasn't to be flustered. Gets round the top corner, leaving no room at all on the inside for the old Great Dane himself. He really was caught there. And just watch this as Neil Collins goes over the line in Bruce Pennell fashion on his back wheel. Super stuff. Well, the crowd is still abuzz after that victory by Neil Collins. Of course, Neil, the fourth of the Collins clan, who bids in a week's time to become the 4th member of his family to win the British Junior Championship. That's on July the 31st, and we wonder how Coventry will respond to that. They've got Mitch Shearer here coming into Heat 6 in the white helmet colour. And we have got Steve Redgeling, young man from Brisbane, one of this crop of fine youngsters that Martin Rogers is assembling here at Leicester. And the second member of the Collins family, Les Collins, who looked a most polished performer winning his first ride. He'll be on the outside here, and the outside grid has tended to be a favoured one in these early races here at Blackbird Road. There is the lineup on the inside, Shearer, next to him Redgeling. Grid 3 has Charlie McKenna in yellow and black for the Bees, and on the outside it's Les Collins. Leicester 16-14 in front. Heat 6. We'll look for Collins from the outside. We'll look for Shearer from the inside. Could well be a scissor movement up to the first corner here in Heat 6. They go, and it is Shearer on the inside now. Collins, has he got legs? Yes, he has, around the outside. Beautiful piece of passing. Les Collins in front. Second place, Shearer. Third is Redgeling. And the Collins boys are really having a bit of a benefit here tonight. Well, there's Les in front, and Shearer has got...
Well, we apologise for a temporary interruption to our programme. We're trying to correct the picture fault, which we apologised for earlier. We'll be back with it shortly.
Warning bells, not the wedding bells, ringing for Mitch Shearer, and Steve Redgeling really gets up, and Shearer is looking for him as they move into the last lap. And Leicester, the Lions, have their tails up at the moment, and they're looking cocky. There's Collins in front. Shearer just does seem to have shaken off Redgeling there for that second place. A win for Les Collins, second Shearer, third was Redgeling, another 4-2 for Leicester. Means they move into a 4-point lead here early on, and the crowd are loving that. So Coventry, renowned for their fighting qualities, 4 adrift. It's 2016 after 6 races, Heat 7. They have Tommy Knudsen, an early race winner for them. He'll be in yellow and black, and there is his partner Gary Guglielmi. And they are a formidable pairing, this two. And there is a very healthy-looking crowd here at Blackbird Road for this local derby. That's a happy sign. And it's a credit to the work and resourcefulness of Martin and Lyd Rogers, who really have worked miracles here in the East Midlands to keep Speedway going and indeed revive so strongly. There is Finn Jensen, who will be one half of the Leicester pairing here in heat number 7. Jensen with 5 points to his credit. There is the score after 6 races. Leicester 4 points in front. And Coventry are by no means finished. Coming into the red helmet colour in Heat 7, rider replacements for the missing Colin Cook is Mark Courtney, and this indeed is one of his reserve replacement rides, not rider replacement. It gets a bit complicated, but Courtney coming into the red helmet colour for Leicester. So Heat 7, a lot resting on the shoulders of this 21-year-old from North Yorkshire, Mark Courtney. Sign from Teesside. Let's have a look at the lineup on the inside. It is Finn Jensen. Well, with 5 points to win in a second, he really has been a match-winning packet for the Lions thus far. Next to him, Tommy Knudsen, such a polished, thoroughbred performer in yellow and black. Grid 3 has Mark Courtney red, and on the outside, the powerhouse Gary Guglielmi really gets stuck in on that first corner. Heat 7, 2016. And there does seem to be a little confusion. The referee, Mel Price, I'm sure, will want to ascertain exactly the situation of this young man, Mark Courtney. Let's very briefly try and sum up what is happening. The Leicester Lions are running without heat leader Colin Cook this evening, so they are entitled to use the sports rider replacement regulations, and they did in fact use Courtney in that role in Cook's opening ride, or his programmed opening ride. Now they're using him a second time, but this time as a reserve replacement and not as a rider replacement. Hope you understand it. I know the Speedway fraternity well, but in Speedway now, it gets a little bit like chess, getting the team members in order and in operation. Six heats completed, 4 points the difference. Leicester 20, Coventry 16, and now the Bees produce an early race winner, the thoroughbred Dane Tommy Knudsen in the yellow and black helmet colour, and his battling partner Gary Guglielmi. There they are, hoping to redress that balance here in Heat 7. They're in against Finn Jensen. He'll be in the blue helmet colour. And Jensen has produced one of his vintage performance here thus far. There's Guglielmi on the outside, and waiting for the fourth rider. It will be Mark Courtney coming in for a reserve replacement ride for the missing Colin Cook. There's Jensen. And he's been a revolution for the Lions so far this evening. And he goes into grid 1. So the lineup, as we look across, will be inside Jensen, blue helmet colour. Next to him, Knudsen, yellow and black helmet. Grid 3, Mark Courtney in red. On the outside, Gary Guglielmi in white. Heat 7, Coventry looking for a fight back. Leicester looking to consolidate. The atmosphere really building up beautifully here at Blackwood Road. They take their time to settle. Here we go then, Heat 7. Knudsen got a flyer in his first ride. He's in grid 2. The yellow and black helmet colour will watch for him. And they're away this time. And up to the corner it is Jensen. Jensen leads it, coming around the outside. And there's trouble there. It's Guglielmi and Jensen tangle. A corner of considerable drama, which will be well worth another look. Well, this really is a remarkable piece of film. We'll see Jensen on the inside. He gets the gate, gets the drop. As he comes to the corner and turns for the corner, taking all the weight on the footrest, that's on his right foot, you'll see suddenly the footrest will go, and from then on he is in trouble. And there it goes there, and he's lost all sense of direction, and Guglielmi on the outside here, unaware of the drama on the inside, tries to get around the outside. Jensen has lost all traction and direction, and Guglielmi it is who follows the footrest and hits the deck. And referee Mel Price, rather as we thought, has excluded Finn Jensen as the cause of that little contretemps. Frantic activity in the pits. There's Gary Guglielmi brought down and not looking at all happy with life. It could have been awfully dangerous, so really the riders did well to avoid an even worse accident, and the Coventry team frantically changing tyre. Look at Guglielmi, he really is annoyed with himself. There's Vic White, the Coventry team manager, and it looks as though Guglielmi is not on terms with life at the moment. Well, the restart of heat number 7 after all the drama on the first corner. Finn Jensen has been excluded. Gary Guglielmi is coming back in, although he clearly in the pits wasn't happy with his machine. And here's an interesting picture on the start line there. We've got Mark Courtney on his own now for Leicester. And there's Guglielmi, and coming around with him with a spare bike is Ollie Olsen, the skipper. And although the crowd are giving him some stick, that's a fine piece of captaining. He's making sure Guglielmi's happy. And that's a typical example. There you can see Olsen bringing one of his own spares out for Guglielmi. And this really could be the turning point in this British League match. Leicester in front by 4 points. Now Mark Courtney left on his own without Finn Jensen. It's heat 7. We're at the halfway stage. We've had some fine speedway and already a fair amount of drama. And an awful lot resting with Courtney here because he's in against 2 fighting bees, and a maximum heat win here for Coventry would draw the scores back level. Let's watch heat number 7. Guglielmi, you remember, on a strange bike. Courtney impatient to get on with the action. Knudsen on the inside. Here we go, heat 7. Knudsen has made a flyer and Guglielmi has gone with him. And this is a little bit like we thought it might be, and now Guglielmi and Knudsen will surely team right. Knudsen will wait for him. I don't think he'll go roaring off into the sunset. The 2 Bs in front, and this, if you're a Leicester fan, was just a little bit too predictable unless Courtney can really do something special. He's back in 3rd place, and the Bs riding with understanding up front. Are well aware of him, and Courtney just cannot seem to close on them. Knudsen in front, Guglielmi proving his versatility by hopping onto a strange bike. Doesn't seem to slow him down much. Into the last lap. Try though he might, Courtney has gained not at all. We fancied that incident with Jensen might have opened up this league fixture, and it's done just that. A win for Knudsen, 2nd Guglielmi, 3rd Courtney. Maximum heat win for Coventry, and that means with 7 races gone halfway through, it's absolutely level on 21 each. And so at the halfway stage, heat 7, Coventry fighting back. The score is absolutely level, 21 apiece.
Well, if you look at the British League table, there's an awful lot of daylight between Leicester and Coventry, but you'd never believe it to be here at this meeting. As you heard at the end of heat 7 at the halfway stage, the teams are level at 21 all. Moments of high drama in that last heat. We'll be back with more action in 2 minutes. Two we go, 7 heats gone, the score's level at 21 all, 6 heats to go. Let's join your match commentator, Dave Lanning.
So absolutely perfectly poised, this British League fixture between these age-old rivals. Heat 8 could be interesting as well, because we've got coming in the blue helmet colour, Finn Jensen, centre of all the drama in his earlier ride there when the footrest snapped. Let's have a look at the lineup on the inside. Kevin Hawkins, Coventry. Next to him, Jensen in blue, replacing Mark Courtney. Grid 3 has Sam Nicolaisen, who's found the pace a little bit hot out there in his first British League fixture for the Bees. And on the outside, Steve Redgling for Leicester. So Leicester, who moved resourcefully into that early lead, saw it whipped away from under their noses in heat 7. Can they re-establish command here in heat number 8? And that was a very ragged start, and the referee's having none of it. That's always an indication that tension's beginning to mount when these starts get so ragged. And referee Mel Price will really have to get a grip of them. Here we go for the second time of asking heat 8. Inside Hawkins, next to him Jensen. Grid 3, Nicolaisen, and on the outside Steve Redgeling for Leicester. 21 apiece. Let's hope they settle down more quickly this time. Yes, they have. And away they go. From the outside it is Redgeling. And from the inside it is Jensen, and it's Leicester 1-2 at the moment, with Hawkins in third place and Nicolaisen around the outside of him going into the top corner. So Redgeling from Australia leads it. Jensen from Denmark second. Moving into third place it is Nicolaisen. And the young man from Denmark really beginning to show his teeth now. Well, it's a match that certainly has swung one way and then the other. And Leicester at the moment looking good, although Nicolaisen here in his first British League match is having a rare try for the Bees, and he's overcooked the corner and let partner Hawkins come through, although he's back under him. There it is, and we saw Jensen having a good look over his shoulder to see where the attack was going to come from. I don't think it's going to come at all now. And Leicester again rise over the line. It's a win for Redgeling. Second was Jensen, third was Nicolaisen. A maximum heat win for Leicester. Their first of the evening reverses and retrieves the situation, and they move back 4 in front. Heat 9 in this absorbing British League clash, 26-22. Heat 7, of course, saw the Bees score a maximum heat win, and Leicester immediately returned the compliment in Heat 8. Now we're moving into Heat 9, and the shrewd Coventry management, Vic White and Charles Ochiltree, of course, their long service and widely respected administrator, bring in a reserve replacement. Kevin Hawkins, there he is in yellow and black, replacing his fellow reserve Charlie McKenna. As really the tactics are brought to play. Here's Heat 9, the lineup. Neil Collins will be in red, having just gathered the scalp of Ollie Olsen. He'll be feeling most confident. In blue, it's Phil Hearn. He'll be on the inside. Let's look at that lineup. On the inside, then it's Hearn. Next to him, Hawkins. Grid 3 has Neil Collins, and on the outside, it is Mitch Shearer for Coventry. Heat number 9. 4 points in it, remember, with Leicester, the underdogs, in front. Coventry on top, looking to consolidate that lofty spot, with Cradley having matches in hand of them. Here we go, Heat 9. So tight, so tense. Oh, Collins got a flyer. Collins had a flyer from Grid 3, and he's in trouble up to the first corner. We wonder what could have happened there. It's let Coventry move through. In the lead it is Hawkins. In second place it is Shearer. And Neil Collins, who seemed to make the start and stop going up to the corner, really now must come again from the back, and he really is getting among them. Oh, what a ride from Collins. He's split the Coventry pairing. He's round the outside of Hawkins, and now he's chasing hard after Mitch Shearer. And it looks like he's going to go from third to first. Oh, this young man really is providing gilt-edged entertainment. He made the start, he seemed to stop, he split him up, he went by Shearer. He really has hit them with everything but the kitchen sink into the last lap. And there's Collins in front. Shearer is second. Third is Hawkins, with Hearn trying, busting a gut to try and make up ground. But it's going to be Neil Collins, and if ever a ride deserved to win a match, that was it. Collins wins it. Second, Shearer. Third was the other Coventry rider, Hawkins, but Neil Collins is really giving us a meeting to remember. And there's the score. It keeps Leicester in front, and it's so important to them. Well, let's just watch Collins here, because he's gone past Hawkins. Now, just look at the way he picks off Mitch Shearer. Shearer is there. He's aware that this dynamic Leicester rider is behind him, and he switched from outside to inside when the gap developed. Collins going through there and showing absolute mastery from behind. And who really said that Speedway's all about getting out of the gate first? Heat 10, 4 in it still, 29-25 to Leicester. Here's the lineup on the inside. Tommy Knudsen, unbeaten with 2 race wins. Next to him, Steve Redgeling, 2/3 in a race win. Grid 3 has Gary Gouliemi with 3 points to his credit. On the outside, Les Collins, who is equally unbeaten. So something's got to give here in Heat 10 as we reach the climax of another tremendous British League battle between Leicester and Coventry. Knudsen and Collins, remember, on the inside and outside respectively, unbeaten in their first 2 rides. Gouliemi and Redgeling have both produced match-winning action in earlier rides. Here we go, Heat 10. And again, it's an equal break, and it looks like Leicester in front. It is Leicester in front. It is from the inside. Redgeling coming around the outside. Collins, Knudsen's in 3rd place, and Gouliemi's gone past him. And this is a surprise, or at least it is for Coventry. And a pleasant one for Leicester, because it's the Lions giving them the old 1-2. And it looks as though Les Collins might just be slowing up, or is he staying back to team ride with Redgeling? Coming hard after them, it is Knudsen. Collins is just pushing his young partner in front. The crowd here at Blackburn Road absolutely in raptures. But Knudsen is far from finished. This really is a feast of speedway action. Les Collins doing a masterly job around the outside, guarding his young partner. Brilliant team riding tactics. Coventry haven't given up. We're into the last lap. And Collins is slowing down, waiting for Redgeling. And Knudsen must make his big effort now if he is to strike. But he hasn't got the legs, he hasn't got the power over the line. Collins wins it. 2nd place, Redgeling. 3rd, Knudsen. A maximum heat win for Leicester, and they now are looking well set. Well, there is the score, 34-26. Leicester a mile in front, although it still could be whittled down by Coventry in this last stages of this league match. Heat 11 coming up. 3 to go. Leicester with an 8-point gap, but Coventry by no means finished, because now they have slipped more than 6 points in arrears. They are permitted by Speedway regulations to utilise the sport's tactical substitution rules, which means they can bring in a top star to replace a rider deemed to be out of sorts. And in heat number 11, they produced Tommy Knudsen. There he is, coming in as a tactical substitute for Sam Nicolaisen, which gives them an awfully formidable attack here in Heat 11, because we've got Olsen and Knudsen, Ollie Olsen and Tommy Knudsen, the world numbers 2 and 3, as Coventry really get dug into the trenches and try to produce a last-minute gas. And we recall a couple of years ago here, they did just that in a British League match when Central Cameras were here. Let's look at the lineup on the inside. Mark Courtney, next to him, tactical sub Tommy Knudsen. Then in grid 3, Neil Collins, who really has been the thrill maker here at Blackburn Road this evening. And on the outside, Ollie Olsen. And so the Lions will be looking to Neil Collins, this young man, only 20 years old. There's Olsen. They'll be looking for Collins again to bring home the goods. He's done it twice. He's beaten Olsen. He's split him up against Shearer in his last ride. He has said himself he's a bit surprised at his form. His first year in the big time, and he could stifle a Coventry fight back here in Heat 11. Here is Collins in grid 3, in between the 2 Coventry riders. And so, Heat 11 coming up, the climax of a fabulous British League match. Here we go, and it is Coventry first and second out of the gate. Knudsen on the inside, Olsen on the outside, and now can Neil Collins again find the drive? Can he find the energy? Can he find indeed the courage to battle past these 2 world-class riders? And I think he's inside Knudsen. He is. He really moved him over. He's inside Knudsen. He really is riding his heart out. And now he's chasing Olsen again. And he split them up in no mean fashion. And again, he's trying the inside run on Olsen. And Olsen is trying to counter every move. And we've got another Speedway classic on our hands. Collins moving outside now. He caught Olsen like this in an earlier ride. Again, Olsen shuts the inside run down. We're into the last lap. This is where Collins produced it last time. Can he catch the Great Dane again? I don't think he's going to, though he's going to have a fair try into the last 2 corners. he holds on to win. But Collins did well to split them up, so a 4-2 heat advantage to Coventry. But will it be enough? It might not just be. Well, there is the score. Leicester still 6 up and only 2 to go. So all the action in the first lap. You can see the Coventry pairing really did make the jump. It's Knudsen in yellow and black looking across for Olsen. He sees that Olsen's got the drop on Collins, and the pair of them away now. Now we'll watch for Neil Collins. Gets around the outside of partner Courtney here to level himself up to attack the Coventry formation up front. And the Danes looking well set and maybe just a little complacent here as Collins prepares to swoop. Olsen in front. Now, Knudsen doesn't really move over much, but he moves over enough to let Neil Collins get his wheel inside him here, and he squeezes through and shoves him over in no uncertain terms. Knudsen might well complain it was a little merciless, but it's a man's game, and Collins had split them up, and that could be an important second place for the Lions. Remember the score, 36-30, just 2 races to go, which means, in effect, that Coventry have got to produce 2 maximum wins. They've got the Collins boys and several other very lively Leicester Lions to contain in a league fixture which has served up traditionally all the thrills and excitement that these Midland derbies produce. The lineup for Heat 12, on the inside Finn Jensen, next to him Mitch Shearer. Grid 3 has Les Collins, unbeaten. On the outside Ole Olsen with 2 seconds and a race win. Coventry's last stand in this particular league match. Heat number 12, they must get a maximum here to have any chance of taking both the league points and consolidating their tabletop position. Olsen it is, who I think might be trying a little psychology on the outside, just delaying the start. Jensen's gone back. You can almost put your hand out and grab the atmosphere by the fistful. Here we go, heat number 12. Away, and it's Collins who will be the first to show. Collins on the outside, although Shearer's got his nose in front, and Collins has he just got the drop? Yes, he has. Another fine piece of cornering. Collins in front. Second place is Shearer. Olsen moving on the outside of Jensen here, but Olsen is still at the back at the moment, although he's just moved into 3rd place. But it's Collins, it is Les Collins who will anchor it, and Shearer's in trouble, and he's dropped out, and Coventry's luck is running out by the yard, by the inch, and this surely is the end of their challenge in this particular British League match. Leicester, of course, who have very much been the underdog against their powerful Midlands rivals over the past few seasons, will enjoy this triumph, and Les Collins has been the man really at the heart of it. Unbeaten, never really looked in any trouble, and now he can afford almost to ease up. Olsen is 30 lengths behind him and under some pressure from Finn Jensen. Over the line, this will mean victory for Leicester, and just listen to the crowd. Well, there is the score, emphasising Leicester's advantage, 40-32, with a race to go, 2 precious points. That'll be very, very sweet for the Lions. And the crowd there, they're loving it. Not often they have a chance to put one over the old rival. And so the last heat of what has proved to be a marvellously memorable Midlands derby. Of course, academic really, Leicester have wrapped up the points, but they could put a fair amount of icing on the cake and really rub it in with another emphatic heat victory here in Heat 13. And they have got on the inside Neil Collins, grid 2 Olsen, grid 3 in the red helmet colour Les Collins, unbeaten as yet, and on the outside Tommy Knudsen. Here's Heat 13 with 4 world-class performers in contention. The Leicester crowd are singing already. And they really would, I'm sure, raise the Blackbird Road roof if the Collins boys could end with a 5-1 flourish here. Mind you, Coventry, renowned for their fighting qualities, will want to keep it respectable. So lots to look forward to in the next minute or so. 4 laps of this 380 Leicester circuit with 4 of the top practitioners in the world of Speedway. Here we go, heat number 13. to start from the outside. It looks like Coventry in front of though. Les Collins it is who gets his nose in front. Collins and Knudsen together, and Olsen's in third place. And Knudsen has just got the drop on Les Collins into the top corner. We've lost Neil Collins there with some engine trouble. Oh, we did say that Coventry dislike losing face, particularly against old rivals. And they're going to be battling for the last checkered flag. It is Knudsen in front, and now Les Collins under a little bit of pressure from Ollie Olsen. Neil Collins has got percolating again at the back, but he's a long way tailed off. So we're into the last lap. Still Knudsen, Collins, Les, and Olsen in third place. So it's Coventry who might be having the final say in this league match, but Leicester are going to take the 2 points, and that's all that really matters to the East Midlands crowd. Over the line is Knudsen. Second place, it was Les Collins, his first defeat of the evening. Third place, Ollie Olsen, a 4-2 heat win for Coventry. And so that means the final score, 42-36 in Leicester's favour. There is the score, and it's been a night to remember for Leicester, and a fair old speedway piece of entertainment for us.
So what a meeting, what a result. 42-36. We've had a great hour's entertainment. The people here have certainly enjoyed themselves. I hope very much that you at home have. We're back same time next week with another hour of summer sport. Till then, from all of us here in Leicester, a very good afternoon.